So, can classic World of Warcraft save Activision Blizzard? Let's dive into it. You guys know I'm a huge consumer of all things classic World of Warcraft, especially news, theory crafting, just classic World of Warcraft content in general. And my guy TipsOut posed a question, and he backs it up with some facts. He goes out on a limb, and he says that he thinks classic World of Warcraft could potentially save the direction that Activision Blizzard is going, in particular with retail World of Warcraft. So let's talk about some of these L's that Blizzard's been taking recently, right? Their stock is plummeting. Retail World of Warcraft is losing subscribers left and right. It's probably safe to say that the Battle for Azeroth expansion is the worst expansion that retail World of Warcraft has come out with over its history, even compared to all the other ones like Warlords and things like that, right? There was the Kotaku interview in which employees at Blizzard said they feel like Activision has come in and essentially taken over. There was the corrective actions that China has levied against retail World of Warcraft and other games as well, and who knows if that turns out to be a big deal or not, but it's not good news, right? So there's just a ton of negative things, a ton of L's that Blizzard has had to take recently. Now I'm pumped for the release of Classic, right? I stopped playing World of Warcraft in a meaningful way at the end of the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. I've dabbled in it here and there. I played a little bit in Legion. I thought it was a midland, decent expansion. But for all intents and purposes, I stopped playing in any hardcore way at the end of Wrath of the Lich King. So I'm pumped. I'm ready to waste hours of my life, to throw my life down the toilet, and to become a hermit and spend all my time here playing classic World of Warcraft. But let me kind of share my view on where I see the classic servers going and what role they'll take for Blizzard upon release. So can Classic save Activision Blizzard? I'm doubtful. I think retail and classic, they're individual games, and the success of one will likely not contribute to the success of another, nor will the failure. I think you could have one game fail and the other game thrive. I could see retail fail and classic thrive. I could see vice versa, right? We're also talking about a game in classic that's not even released yet. I've already been through the recent missteps of Activision Blizzard. But I see classic as something that will always be there for us fans, right? These classic servers will always give us a community that we know of and goals that we know of, things to work towards, and a community that will always be there, right? Sort of like our safety blanket. And I'm very excited for that. But I don't think that means we should hail it as a savior, and I don't think that means we should assume that retail will then either fix itself or, I don't know, die. I still think that leaves a huge question around retail WoW, even if the classic servers are everything we think they are and everything we hope they are. I want classic World of Warcraft to be there 5, 10, 15 years from now. I want classic to be there for kids who are born 5, 10, 15 years from now to play. I want it to be sort of just in the social fabric of gaming community, to always be there for people to always play. And there'll probably be times in our culture where it'll get popular and times where it'll maybe take a dive, right? I think it's due time that Blizzard give us these classic servers, considering other MMOs have had their original games out for a long time. But I think it'll be just something that will always be there for years to come. Now, where does that leave retail? The only excitement Blizzard has right now amongst any of their games is Classic. And there are a lot of things in Classic, a good majority of the things in Classic, we like better as players to retail. So will Classic automatically somehow save retail? No, I don't think so. I think retail might be beyond repair. But I think the answer is there. The answer is within Classic. Take some of the things that we like in Classic, the only game that we're excited about right now, integrate them into retail, right? I don't know what Blizzard's view of retail is, but if the view of fans, the community, and Blizzard is, well, we'll have this old game, and then we'll have this new game that we're going to keep steering in the wrong direction, what good is that? We need to get retail back on the tracks, right? Blizzard, wake up. No one's excited for retail. No one likes the direction of retail. The only game they're excited for is Classic. Take some of Classic, take a lot of Classic, and put it back into retail. So I think it's a little dangerous to start hailing an unreleased game as a savior, and even speculating that it might be a savior for a company that's, had a string of mishaps, right? It's an unreleased game ultimately, and we don't know what's going to happen when it is released. Are we just going to assume it comes out okay? Well, let's do that. Where does that leave retail? Or does retail just sail itself into the rocks? And then what does Blizzard do then? Does Blizzard start hampering with Classic? Because I do not want that. I want Classic to always stay Classic. We all want that. But I think to assure that we get that, we have to keep our eye on retail. We have to keep demanding that the fundamental elements in Classic that we all love show themselves and get migrated over to retail. That's what we want. I think what a lot of people want is a current generation World of Warcraft MMO that has its foundations in Classic World of Warcraft. And we have to demand that. We have to keep our eye on that. And we have to demand, just like we demanded Classic servers, we have to demand that retail get itself back on the tracks. Like I said, Blizzard, wake up. Nobody likes retail. We're excited for Classic. Bring some of those things over to current retail WoW that we're excited for in Classic, all right?